Your Ford EcoBoost engine is lying to you. Right now, as you drive your F-150, your Mustang, your Explorer, or whatever Ford you own with an EcoBoost under the hood, that engine is holding back power it was built to produce. Ford's engineers designed these turbocharged engines to make significantly more horsepower and torque than what shows up on the spec sheet. Then the corporate side stepped in, the lawyers got involved, the EPA compliance officials weighed in, and Ford intentionally choked your engine with conservative software calibrations that leave 50 to 100 horsepower sitting on the table. I have been working on Fords for over 15 years, and I have seen what happens when you unlock what the factory deliberately restricted. The difference is staggering. Trucks that felt sluggish and lazy suddenly pull like they have an entirely different engine under the hood. Throttle response that felt numb and delayed becomes instant and aggressive. Transmissions that hunted between gears and shifted at the wrong time suddenly behave like they were programmed by someone who actually drives a truck. This is the engine modification the EPA has been spending millions trying to shut down. They have fined companies tens of millions of dollars. They have sent people to prison. They have destroyed entire businesses over this single modification. And here is the thing that makes this so controversial. At its core, all we are talking about is changing the software on a computer. No parts removed, no hardware changed, just rewriting the digital instructions that tell your engine how to operate. Today, I am explaining exactly what engine control unit tuning is, why Ford leaves so much performance locked away, what the EPA is actually cracking down on versus what remains perfectly legal, and how Ford owners are safely unlocking 50 to 100 additional horsepower from engines that were designed to produce it all along. This is the most important performance modification any Ford owner can make, and it is also the most misunderstood. Pay close attention, because there is a massive difference between what is legal and what will land you in serious trouble, and most people on the internet have no idea where that line actually falls. Let's start with why Ford deliberately restricts your engine's performance. Because once you understand this, everything else makes sense. Every modern Ford with a turbocharged EcoBoost engine uses an electronic control unit, ECU, to manage every aspect of engine operation. This computer controls how much boost the turbochargers produce, when the transmission shifts, how much fuel gets injected, how aggressively the throttle responds to your foot, and hundreds of other parameters that determine how your engine behaves. Ford's factory calibration for this ECU is intentionally conservative. The 3.5-liter EcoBoost in the F-150 is rated at around 400 horsepower from the factory. That same engine architecture, with the same internals, the same turbochargers, the same block and heads, is capable of producing well over 480 horsepower with nothing more than a software change and premium fuel. Ford knows this. They designed the engine to handle it, so why do they hold it back? The answer comes down to 4 factors. First, fuel quality. Ford has to calibrate these engines to run safely on 87-octane regular fuel, because that is what most owners put in the tank. The engine control unit, or ECU, cannot assume you are running premium, so it has to leave significant power on the table to protect against knock and detonation with lower quality fuel. Second, warranty liability. Every additional horsepower increases stress on drivetrain components. Ford's warranty department does not want to pay for transmission rebuilds and turbo replacements, so engineers are instructed to leave a massive safety margin in the calibration. Third, emissions compliance. Ford has to certify that every vehicle meets EPA emissions standards across every conceivable driving condition. The easiest way to guarantee compliance is to run the engine leaner and more conservatively than necessary. Fourth, torque-based control strategy that Ford uses on EcoBoost engines. The factory calibration uses the drive-by-wire throttle system as the primary method of controlling torque output. The factory tune allows the throttle to close to less than 20% of its maximum opening, even when you have your foot to the floor. Ford's engineers use the throttle plate as a torque limiter, only allowing a specific amount of torque at any given pedal position. The factory calibration tables are conservative and deliberately numb, which is why many EcoBoost owners describe a lag or a goofy feeling from the pedal. The engine has boost pressure available, but the engine control unit is actively closing the throttle to limit how much of that pressure reaches the cylinders. This is where ECU tuning enters the picture, and this is where things get legally complicated. ECU tuning at its most basic level means reprogramming the engine control unit's software to change how the engine operates. A tuner connects a device to your truck's OBD2 diagnostic port, reads the factory calibration, and uploads a modified calibration that changes parameters like boost pressure targets, throttle response curves, fuel injection timing, and transmission shift points. The results are dramatic. On a bone stock F-150 3.5-liter EcoBoost running 93-octane fuel, a quality ECU tune from a reputable calibrator typically adds 50 to 75 horsepower and 80 to 100 pound-feet of torque, with zero other modifications. Some tuners report peak-to-peak gains exceeding 80 wheel horsepower and 110 wheel torque. That's roughly a 20% increase in power from a software change alone. Add basic bolt-ons like an upgraded intercooler and a performance intake, and those numbers climb even higher. Dyno-tested combinations have shown gains exceeding 110 horsepower over stock with just a tune and bolt-ons. One test of a 2021 F-150 3.5-liter EcoBoost showed 481 horsepower after tuning, up from 369 at the wheels in stock form. The truck gained 110 horsepower and 100 pound-feet of torque from tuning alone combined with basic supporting modifications. But the power gains are only part of the story. What most owners notice immediately isn't the peak horsepower number, it's the transformation in how the truck drives. The throttle response changes from sluggish and delayed to immediate and precise. The numb feeling in the gas pedal disappears. The transmission, which in stock form hunts between gears and often stays in higher gears when it should be downshifting, suddenly shifts with purpose and authority. Many tuners also recalibrate the transmission shift points, shift firmness, and torque converter lockup strategy, turning the 10-speed automatic from a confused piece of software into a properly programmed gearbox that actually complements the engine. Some tunes also disable the auto start-stop system permanently, correct the speedometer for larger tires, and adjust the top speed limiter. These are all software changes that affect nothing but the computer's programming. Now, we need to have a serious conversation about legality because this is where most people get it wrong and where the consequences can be devastating. The EPA does not hate ECU tuning. That is an oversimplification. What the EPA targets and what it has spent millions of dollars prosecuting is the removal or disabling of emissions control systems. There is a critical legal distinction between a performance tune that keeps all emissions equipment intact and functioning and a delete tune that removes or disables emissions components like the diesel particulate filter, the EGR system, or the catalytic converters. Delete tunes are what brought the hammer down on the entire industry. Under the Clean Air Act, it is illegal to manufacture, sell, or install any part or component whose principal effect is to bypass, defeat, or render inoperative any emissions control device installed on a vehicle. The EPA has made it absolutely clear that this prohibition applies to both hardware and software. If you remove your catalytic converters or your DPF and then use a tune to prevent the check engine light from coming on, that is a federal crime. If a shop does this work for you, they are committing a federal crime. If a company sells you the software to do it, they are committing a federal crime. If you are finding this valuable, go ahead and hit that like button and make sure you are subscribed because I'm about to explain exactly where the legal line falls and how Ford owners are staying on the right side of it while still unlocking massive performance gains. The enforcement numbers tell the story of how seriously the EPA takes this. From 2020 through 2023, the EPA finalized 172 civil enforcement cases against companies manufacturing or selling defeat devices, collecting a total of $55.5 million in penalties. 17 criminal cases resulted in an additional $5.6 million in fines, plus actual prison time. In September 2024, one of the biggest names in the tuning world settled with the EPA for nearly $3 million in civil penalties after being accused of selling over 90,000 aftermarket defeat devices since 2015. The settlement required the company to stop selling any product that had not been specifically evaluated and certified by the California Air Resources Board as not increasing emissions above allowable levels. Another major tuning company owner was sentenced to 3 years of probation, including 10 months of home detention, along with $3.1 million in combined criminal and civil fines. The EPA cited an estimated 175,000 vehicles tuned by that company alone. Even major retail companies have not escaped scrutiny. A well-known performance parts retailer settled for $600,000 for simply selling defeat devices manufactured by other companies. The message from the EPA could not be clearer. Anything that removes, disables, or bypasses factory emissions controls is illegal, and they will prosecute manufacturers, sellers, installers, and increasingly, even individual vehicle owners. But here is what most people miss in the headlines about EPA crackdowns. Legal engine control unit tuning still exists. Performance calibrations that keep all emissions equipment fully functional, that do not disable catalytic converters, that do not remove diesel particulate filters, that do not bypass exhaust gas recirculation valves, occupy a different legal category entirely. The key is CARB certification. The California Air Resources Board issues executive orders for aftermarket parts and calibrations that have been tested and proven not to increase emissions above allowable levels. A tune with a CARB executive order is legal in all 50 states. Ford sells performance calibrations through their Ford Performance division. These calibrations are engineered and dyno tested by Ford engineers to deliver more power while maintaining reliability. Ford Performance calibrations for the F-150 3.5-liter EcoBoost carry the 50 states street legal designation, meaning the California Air Resources Board has determined they do not have an adverse effect on emissions when installed and used properly. If Ford's own performance division sells a tune that unlocks additional horsepower, it becomes difficult to argue that the concept of engine control unit tuning is inherently illegal. The issue was never tuning itself. The issue was always emissions equipment removal. So what does a legal performance tune actually change inside your engine control unit? The modifications fall into several categories that remain within the boundaries of emissions compliance. Boost pressure targets are increased. The factory calibration runs conservative boost levels, particularly on 87 octane fuel. A performance tune optimized for 91 or 93 octane raises the boost targets to levels the turbochargers and engine internals were designed to handle, extracting more power from each combustion event without exceeding the mechanical limits of any component. Fuel injection timing and volume are recalibrated. The factory tune runs richer than necessary in many operating conditions as a safety buffer. A performance tune optimizes the air-fuel ratio for the octane fuel you are actually running, which improves both power output and, in many cases, fuel efficiency during normal driving. Throttle response mapping is rewritten. Remember those torque limiters mentioned earlier that close the throttle to less than 20% even at wide open pedal position? A performance tune raises these limits, giving you immediate access to the power the engine is actually producing. This single change transforms how the truck feels in daily driving more than any other parameter adjustment. Transmission shift calibrations are optimized. The factory shift points are programmed for maximum fuel economy, which often means the truck stays in higher gears when it should be downshifting for passing power or towing. A performance tune reprograms shift points, shift firmness, and torque converter lockup behavior for both normal driving and towing conditions. Ignition timing is advanced. The factory calibration runs extremely conservative timing at full throttle, sometimes only 0 to 2 degrees, to account for the worst possible fuel quality. A tune optimized for premium fuel advances timing to more effective levels, extracting additional power from each combustion cycle while the engine control unit knock sensors continue monitoring for detonation and pulling timing if they detect it. The important thing to understand about all of these changes is that none of them involve removing, disabling, or bypassing emissions equipment. Your catalytic converters remain fully functional. Your oxygen sensors continue monitoring exhaust gases. Your evaporative emissions system keeps working. The engine simply operates more efficiently within the existing emissions control framework. Now let us talk about what you need to know before tuning your Ford, because this is where a lot of owners make expensive mistakes. First, warranty implications. Any aftermarket ECU tune will almost certainly void your powertrain warranty, regardless of whether it is legal from an emissions standpoint. Ford dealers can detect when the ECU has been reflashed using something called a powertrain control module counter. Every time the ECU is reprogrammed, this counter increments. If you show up for a warranty claim and the dealer sees that the counter has been increased beyond the factory number, they will deny your claim. Even Ford performance calibrations can void the extended service plan warranty. This is important to understand before you tune. If you are still within your factory warranty period, you need to weigh whether the performance gains are worth the risk of paying out of pocket for any drivetrain repairs. Second, fuel quality matters enormously. Most performance tunes are calibrated for 91 or 93 octane fuel. If you tune your truck for 93 octane and then fill up with 87 because you are in a hurry, the ECU's knock detection system will start pulling ignition timing aggressively to protect the engine. You will lose most of your performance gains, and the engine may run rough until you fill up with the correct fuel. Some owners solve this by running ethanol blends like E85, which provides higher octane and greater power potential, but this requires a flex fuel sensor and a calibration specifically designed for ethanol. Third, choose your reputable tuner carefully. This is not a commodity product where one tune is the same as another. The difference between a reputable tuner who has spent thousands of hours on a chassis dynamometer developing safe, reliable calibrations and a random person selling tune files on the internet is the difference between a truck that runs strong for 200,000 miles and a truck that grenades its turbochargers at 50,000. Look for tuners with extensive track records specifically on your platform, verified dyno results, active customer bases, and ongoing support including data logs, review, and revision. A quality custom tune typically costs $300 to $600 for the calibration files, plus the cost of the programming device, which ranges from $400 to $600 depending on the platform. The device plugs into your OBD2 port and allows you to load tunes to the ECU, monitor engine parameters in real time, read and clear diagnostic codes, and revert to the stock calibration if needed. Fourth, supporting modifications can make or break a tune. The factory intercooler on EcoBoost engines is adequate for stock power levels, but it becomes a bottleneck when you increase boost. The stock intercooler lets charge air temperatures climb significantly under sustained load, and that causes the ECU to pull timing and reduce boost to protect the engine. An upgraded intercooler keeps intake temperatures lower, which allows the tune to maintain full power output consistently rather than fading after extended acceleration. Similarly, the intake snorkel on many F-150 models is made from soft, thin rubber that can collapse under the increased vacuum created by higher boost levels. When that happens, the engine loses power dramatically and the turbochargers work harder than they should. A simple reinforcement bracket eliminates this problem for about $50. These supporting modifications do not change your emissions output. They simply allow the engine to breathe more efficiently so the tune can do its job. Before we get to the most critical takeaway, if you are finding this information valuable, smash that subscribe button and hit the bell. Your engagement helps other Ford owners discover this information that dealerships are not going to share with them. Here is what I want every Ford owner to walk away understanding. The era of unregulated engine tuning is over. The days when you could walk into any diesel shop, pay $500, and walk out with a deleted DPF and a tune that removed all emissions equipment are finished. The EPA has made that crystal clear through hundreds of enforcement actions, millions in fines, and actual prison sentences. If anyone offers you a delete tune, disabling the EGR, removing the DPF, and flashing the ECU, walk away. It does not matter if they call it off-road use only. It does not matter if they claim the EPA only goes after shops, not individual owners. The legal risk is real, and the financial penalties are crushing. Individual owners can face fines of over $5,000 per violation per day. Your truck can fail state emissions inspections. Your insurance company can deny claims on a vehicle with illegal modifications. The resale value drops significantly because knowledgeable buyers will not touch a truck with deleted emissions. But legal performance tuning, the kind that keeps every emissions component fully intact and functional, remains a legitimate modification that Ford owners are using every day to unlock the performance their engines were built to deliver. Ford's own performance division sells calibrations that prove the concept works within legal boundaries. CARB certified aftermarket tunes provide the same benefit with even more aggressive calibrations. Reputable tuners across the country are developing safe, reliable, emissions-compliant calibrations that add 50 to 100 horsepower to stock EcoBoost engines without removing a single emissions component. Your EcoBoost engine was built to do more than what the factory calibration allows. Ford designed massive safety margins into these engines for durability and warranty purposes. A properly developed performance calibration simply reclaims a portion of that margin, letting the engine operate closer to its actual capabilities while still maintaining a safe buffer for long-term reliability. The hardware is already there, the capability is already there. The only thing standing between you and the full potential of your Ford is a software file on a computer chip. Do your research. Choose a reputable tuner with a proven track record on your specific platform. Use the correct fuel grade. Consider supporting modifications like an upgraded intercooler. Stay on the right side of the law by keeping every emissions components intact. And most importantly, understand that a performance tune from a respected calibrator is not some hack job that puts your engine at risk. It is a precisely engineered recalibration of the same software Ford's engineers wrote, optimized for the premium fuel and driving conditions you actually use. Rather than the lowest common denominator scenarios Ford has to account for across millions of vehicles. If you found this video valuable, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, and drop a comment below telling me whether you have tuned your Ford or whether you are considering it. I want to hear about your experience. And if you are curious about which specific modifications will give you the biggest bang for your buck on your EcoBoost, check out the video right here where I break down the 5 best upgrades for maximum performance without sacrificing reliability. I will see you in the next one.